Certainly from our standpoint, this is a long-term solution. I think it's important to keep that in mind. We've been working closely with the city from that perspective, and it does drive a lot of the decision-making and the options, and that's why we are where we are in terms of a preferred alternative. We have, and again, I'll offer our thanks from the department standpoint in terms of the commitment of the city resources and the departments, the heads, and really all the staff has been a benefit as far as us advancing the project during the last 9 months. We've been working certainly closely in terms of the Design Advisory Committee, but of course we've been working on this over the last 3 years with the city. So certainly appreciative of the efforts of the city. It is a large program. Dominic and I will speak through, I'm going to represent and talk about the engineering aspects and the program elements and things like that. Dominic LaRosa will talk through the construction side of things, but it is a large program. It's a large team effort, and certainly we couldn't do it without the city. So, we feel like we work closely with the city, with our federal and state partnering agencies, and confident, once again, like the mayor said, that we've chosen the preferred alternative that is optimal. So again, talking a little bit about the big picture, and certainly I think people are aware, 125,000 trains, or 125,000 passengers, 175 trains a day going up and down the line. There is certainly a lot of economic drivers associated with that, either in the local, the regional area, and also the state economy. And certainly, as the mayor alluded to, the Norwalk River is a asset. It is a resource. We want to retain that resource for a long period of time to come. And associated with that, based on the number of trains and number of passengers, is really critical that we upgrade the rail infrastructure, basically everything from the Washington Y, or down Washington Street where the Y is, where the Danbury branch cuts off, all the way up to 243 in Norton Place. We're upgrading all the rail infrastructure, the majority of which is 100 plus years old. So those are some of the big picture goals of the program. Some of the other things that are associated with the program that are benefits that will be achieved. Obviously, it will be a signature bridge, something that could be a center of community-based activities, and something for the city and the surrounding area to celebrate. There are bike and pedestrian trails. We are doing the 4D theater, like the mayor alluded to. Educational exhibits and interpretive panels and things like that. We're also working on the whole wharf area where the old IMAX was, and improvements that could be accomplished there. So in terms of the program itself, it is made up or comprised of 6 individual projects. All of these projects were identified from a need standpoint, really from a age of the infrastructure and things of that nature. So shown in green is the Danbury Branch Dockyard project. That project is currently in construction, as is the 243 interlocking project that is out by Norton Place. And the other projects that are associated with the program are the Walk Bridge replacement, East Avenue Bridge, Osborne Avenue, and Fort Point Street. Again, these are all rail operational infrastructure improvement projects, 100 plus years old. So I'll talk a little bit about each one of the individual projects. Fort Point Street, we made the decision about 12 months ago to build this offline to the west. So that is shown here, right? So this is the new bridge. In terms of Fort Point Street, this is the existing alignment. That gives us a couple of benefits. A, we're able to maintain traffic on the existing alignment throughout construction, so that's beneficial. I think anybody that's gone through Fort Point Street understands the safety and visibility and sight lines that are kind of a challenge there. So by lining it up with South Smith Street, we alleviate some of those concerns. There will be a temporary signal installed at Fort Point Street during the course of construction in order to facilitate construction. So that covers Fort Point Street. Osborne Avenue, again, we're going to be doing a superstructure replacement and substructure rehabilitation. This is a bridge as well, 100 plus years old. We are coordinating with the Spinnaker development, the proposed development over here. We are anticipating 2 150-day closures of Osborne Avenue. Later on, I'll go through the detour, and actually there's a traffic station that later on you can get into and look through that. There will be a temporary signal, again, to facilitate traffic operations during construction at Osborne Avenue and Fort Point. And this is a visual over here, down here. It's essentially the same cross section. There will be sidewalks on both sides of Osborne Avenue. East Avenue Bridge and roadway. This again is a project been on the books for 20 plus years. Sue Prosy could probably say exactly when it was initiated, but 25 years. So we're excited, and I'm sure the city and others are excited to get this project done as part of the program. We are going to be making some parking lot upgrades vicinity of the East Norwalk Station. We are going to be extending the platforms that's shown here. You'll see so that we can have 10 train car platforms, so you won't have to shuffle between train cars to get off and make sure you're in the right spot. There will be elevators provided basically in this area on each side of the tracks to provide access to the platforms from a handicap standpoint. East Avenue underneath the bridge will have two lanes in each direction, right? So that's certainly a significant improvement. And the vertical clearance currently is 12'2", and it'll be increased to 14'3". So that's all consistent with prior information provided on the East Avenue project. The Walk Bridge replacement project itself consists of the replacement of the bridge. We have approach work leading up to the bridge. We go all the way back to the Y as part of the Walk Bridge project. The existing high towers, which are on each side of the bridge, currently carry the Metro North cables. They will be relocated underground, basically, from the Marina property to the old IMAX site. That's where those will be going. And then there's associated work and rail system improvements as part of it. I think people are aware, Walk Bridge, built in 1896, certainly has outlived its useful life, and we want to build a new bridge shown down here, which I'll talk through some of the additional design considerations. But the new bridge is a 240-foot vertical lift, has two individual spans of 2 tracks each. So that's what's going on in terms of the Walk Bridge. And we will be dredging as part of the project right in this area where the existing pivot pier is. We will be doing some dredging, and that's kind of right up front in the project in order to take care of that. Okay, so in terms of program costs, it is a $1.2 billion program. So those 6 individual projects make up that $1.2 billion. It's not just for the bridge. The program budget right now is comprised of approximately 40% federal, 60% state. You'll notice that 12%, probably a lot of people have heard about the Sandy grant that the state and the program was fortunate to get. That was provided in 2014. So we do need to show some progress as far as expending those funds. With any project, there is cost associated with engineering and rights of way, and then the balance of the project is with construction. So this shows you the split of the $937 million that I talked about. Approximately half of the budget, or the $937 million, 50% is associated with the Walk Bridge. The balance is associated with those other 5 projects. So 243 in Dockyard, which are ongoing work, and then the other projects which will be part of the Walk Bridge project itself. And all of these are basically rail and infrastructure upgrades that are required, again, going back to the 100-plus-year-old condition of the infrastructure. So in terms of the bridge design itself, it is 2, like I said, there's 2 individual spans. So 2 individual spans at 2 tracks each. We did work with the Design Advisory Committee, and we came up with this arch design, which is featured throughout the tower. So you'll see it on the side, it's on each side here. We did also incorporate it into the railing on the approaches as far as the arch designs, and you'll see there's a little bit of an arch up here. We did work with the Design Advisory Committee on this machinery room. That's what this structure is up on top. We looked at 1 story, 1.5 story, 2 stories, different roof options, things of that nature, and that's what the general consensus is as far as the look of the top of the machinery room. And then we also did, there needs to be access from the track level up to the machinery room for service and operations and things of that nature. So you'll see here there's some stairways that are going in, but we worked really hard as far as trying to integrate those within the structure so they're not as visible as they might be. So in terms of the bridge itself, we do get maintaining the rail traffic. That's really critical throughout. This particular option does have the fewest foundations in the water. Those foundations are outside of the existing, so that allows for a good amount of construction in advance before we have to affect the existing swing. So really we're able to do a lot of work, and Dominic will go through that with the staging. You'll see there's a lot of work that's accomplished while the existing swing span will be operational. From a height perspective, this is about 140 feet from the track elevation. For a reference point, the high towers are about 235 feet. So again, these are 140, these are 235. So difference of 95 feet, give or take. Okay. Other design considerations, there is ongoing coordination with the city, with agencies and other stakeholders. Certainly it's our objective to enhance the waterfront. We will be dredging the river in order to maintain navigation. You'll notice basically what's going to happen here is that the future channel will line up very nicely with the Straffolino. So I think this channel width is about 170 feet, give or take. So that's certainly a benefit. We are under this alternative, like I said, this swing span will be operational. So we're able to maintain 4 tracks for a significant portion of the time. Dominic will go through when we start switching over to the 2 tracks. And the preferred option does allow for the viability of the river going up. We are going to do some dredging, allow for future dredging as well. And then also, development opportunities and things of that nature to the north. So the North Water Street area does see quite a bit of change, if you will. The existing IMAX site is cleared. We are working with the city to understand what might be a vision for this area, the wharf. We just call it the wharf area. There's certainly some opportunities. There will be an extension of the bike trail. We are doing it on the east side. We have committed to also doing it on the west side. It's just a matter of exactly how that lays out with all the other plans that are considered for the wharf area. You'll notice this pier here, right, which will be right adjacent to North Water Street. The existing abutment right now is right pretty close to the road, if you, just down there, basically. The future abutment will be back, I want to say about 90 feet, 90 to 100 feet. It'll basically line up with the lock building where it juts out here. So this whole parking lot area underneath the structure will be open. This, we are straightening out the roadway here. There's a little bit of a jog currently. And then the vertical clearance goes up to about 17 and a half feet. So it's about an increase of 5 feet over North Water Street. So, you know, this area really changes. We've been in a series of meetings with Spinnaker. We also talked about it as part of the Design Advisory Committee, understanding that there's a lot of opportunity for some enhancements to be taken care of in this area. So in terms of multimodal accommodations, Dominic will go through. One of the first things that we do is we get the aquarium vessel and the Sheffield Island ferry get relocated down here to the south. We are proposing to leave this southerly dock, so that will be an enhancement to this area. There are pedestrian and bike accommodations also as part of the project. And throughout the project limits, there will be roadway and sidewalk improvements for safe bike and ped mobility. So these are some of the preliminary detour routes. We understand that there's going to be effects on North Water Street, Osborne Avenue, as well as East Avenue. So these show currently what we're proposing. The shorter routes are for vehicles based on clearance restrictions and requirements, and the trucks will obviously have to make different maneuvers. Same thing here with the East Avenue. They're going to have to go around. These detour routes are preliminary. All these closures will not occur at the same time. And so we will continue to work with the city in understanding the implications of these. We've had a lot of conversations with these and we'll continue to do so. And then, you know, associated with these, we've also done some outreach to the transit district so that they understand what might be occurring. So environmental permitting and you know, certainly, like I said, the river is a resource for the city as well as the state. We will be incorporating standard stormwater management, contaminated soil management. We do have a historic resource protection. We did do a test pile program to understand vibration and noise. So those will all be included as part of the project. We will be doing dredging vicinity, like I said, vicinity of the pivot pier. We have to do it also for the vessel relocation, and then also for our contractor yard, which is down to the south of the Straffolino. Those are our 3 dredging areas right now. So in terms of environmental restoration, we will be treating and eliminating invasive species within and adjacent to the existing salt marsh, and we'll replace that with native plant life. In restoration and construction of habitats for the wildlife, we'll coordinate that. We've done a lot of outreach already with either DEP, the Harbor Commission, and the Shellfish Commission, and we will continue to do so as we develop our plans and mitigation and specifications for the start of construction. This just shows some of the things that we will incorporate or implement during construction. Turbidity curtains, handling our soil, contaminated soil, marine enclosures, things like that. There will be time of year restrictions in terms of in-water work. There's a lot of in-water work, but there will be a specified time of year as to when that can actually happen. And we'll maintain the water quality throughout the project with these measures. We'll maintain the water quality throughout the construction. Okay, so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dominic, and he's going to run through the construction.
Thanks. He took you through the design and development part of this project. and I'm going to take you from there to the end, which is the construction part of it. I'll talk about schedule, then we'll get into some of the ongoing activities out there, and then take you through the walk bridge and how we anticipate building that on a yearly basis. So one of the first things I wanted to mention is the delivery method for this project is a little unique, or it's very unique to us anyway. It's called CMGC, stands for Construction Manager / General Contractor. And as opposed to how we normally do it, which would be designing a project, putting it out to bid, and then constructing it to with a low bidder, we bring in a general contractor or a construction manager during the design phase. Now, this is a contractor that has experience in this type of construction. They come in during our design, and they're just part of the whole team effort in getting this project to a biddable document, okay? So what that does is allows us to, all the ideas are on the table: innovation, identifying any and all risks that may be associated once we get out there. And all that does is it helps us basically get a set of plans and a project that when we're out there, we're finishing on schedule and within budget. And that's really the goal of any construction project. That's what we're trying to do. So it's working well so far. I'll talk about some of the active construction work that's going on. And just to mention, the CMGC for this project or this program is Chimbrow Middlesex. They're by the staging station, so go say hi over there a little later on. And they're on board right now with us, helping us through the design development. So the first thing I'll talk about, or next thing, is the program construction schedule. Basically going to take it just from the top down. Permitting started way back in the beginning of 2018, and we should have all the environmental permits in place by the end of 2019. And pretty much that goes right in line with when the construction of the walk bridge will begin, which is the end of 2019. And that takes us right through to the end 2024. And I'll take you through those years and show you what we're going to do in that. During this construction, there's a lot of other work going on, and just to give you some of the highlights, will be, as Jim mentioned, 4 Point, Osborne, East, and East Norwalk Station construction will be ongoing, ties in with the end of the construction schedule here, and what's going on now and during some of the walk bridge construction here is CP 243 interlocking, which is on the east side, and the Danbury Dockyard, which is north of the Y, as Jim mentioned earlier. Okay, so the Danbury Branch Dockyard project, which is going right now, it electrifies the branch from the Y up north, South Norwalk, from the Y up towards north of Danbury, towards Wall Street, actually. And it electrifies the tracks, and it allows for the trains to end, that end in South Norwalk, to be redirected back towards New York. Okay, currently that's happening on the walk bridge itself. So you build this dockyard, and it'll allow us to reconstruct the bridge, and I'll show you later, bring it down to 2 tracks, and without interfering with this dockyard or with the train redirection. So some of active construction photos here. You have Danbury Branch right there on the left. You can see some of the overhead contact system and poles here and foundations that were installed, some of the new track. And that also affects north of that would be the Ann Street Bridge. That's in construction now. We do have a little bit more work to do on that one. It's going to be closed a little bit during phase 2. From early December, we're expecting through mid-March, and that'll finish out and complete the Ann Street structure. So that'll be open after that. Okay, now taking you over down more towards the east, the CP 243 interlocking project. Actually, the footprint of the project goes all the way to the Y, but majority of the work up here, the new tracks and the switches and interlocking system that are going on in this area here. That work has started. It's going on right now, and there's a lot of reasons to do this, but it had to be done anyway. So basically, between the Sono station and Westport station, there was no interlocking system. And what the interlocking system does, it's basically switches on the tracks that allows the train to go from one track to another, okay? They don't have anything from Sono up to Westport station. Needed to be done anyway, just to maintain travel service for the tracks or for the trains. It also allows us to help build the walk bridge, because we're going to end up bringing that down to 2 tracks when I'll show you that a little later. So when we do that, This will allow the train movements to get into the tracks that they need to be in order to maintain service. So service is minimally interrupted at all during construction, except for a couple of long weekend closures that I'll talk about in a little bit. Also with this, we have some pictures here of active construction. We have the signal house, the new signal house here. That's a rendition that's going on right now. We're going to be starting construction on that. And that's going to be starting in December. They'll be working days and nights and some weekends to do that work. That's right here. And the CP 242 track work, which is ongoing right now with some of the rock cuts, slope protection that's going on, and some of the foundations being installed too. Okay, so now I'm going to take it year by year for the next 5 years on the construction of the walk bridge itself and how that ties into the other bridges down the road that are part of the program, and how we're able to put those in with the reconstruction of this all at the same time because of the track outages that we're taking advantage of. So the first year, you're really not going to see a lot as far as construction above the structure at all, because it's mostly in water work. You'll see some of the trestles being built here. You'll see the relocation of the IMAX will be going on at the same time. The staging will be put up. Some of your staging yards will be built out. Relocation of the vessels to the south, as Jim mentioned, they're not in this drawing, but they're down in this area here. That'll be going on. We'll have some utility relocations. There'll be some North Water Street, temporary closures and lane closures on North Water to allow for some of this work going on. That's pretty much all you're going to see in the first year. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of in-water work that you really wouldn't notice unless you're out there looking. So year number 2 is when we start with the southern 2 tracks that we take out of service. So here, if you could see, there were 4 tracks. Now there are only 2. The southern 2 tracks are out of service, which allows us to work on the southernmost tracks and remove them and replace them. And I'll show you in a minute how we do that with the floating. So that's going to take advantage of 4 Point. You can see that's built offline here. This is the existing. Here we are offline. The southern 2 tracks are removed, and we'll be working on 4 Point at the same time as the walk itself. Further up the line, East Ave and Osborne will be the same thing happening. Again, down 2 tracks, southern 2 tracks are removed, and that allows us to reconstruct that portion of those 2 structures. Okay, so now we get into year 3. So year 3, we're going to be completing the walk bridge south half approaches. We're going to be building the southern lift span off-site. Okay, it's a huge lift span that I'll be showing you floating in a couple of seconds now. We're going to be opening the 2 new southern tracks all throughout this year, towards the end of the year. And also, we're going to be working here. Where's 4 Point? Right there. So I have a video now of the float in and the float, or the float out and then the float in, I guess you could say. We're going to be removing the existing structure here, floating it out, and then replacing it with the southern 2 tracks. So like I said earlier, majority of this project we're able to maintain 2 tracks at all times. This will be one of those extended weekend closures where all 4 tracks will be out of service, okay? Okay, so now year 4 is where we talk about the north span float in. We're going to complete the walk bridge north half. We're going to float it in, complete the track and catenary and other rail construction in the northern half. And then at that time is when we begin removal of the pivot and rest piers of the existing structure. We're also completing the north half of 4 Point at the same time, because you can see these tracks here are removed. So now we're able to work on the northern part of 4 Point. And here's how the float-in is looking to go on the second northern half. Okay. Further up the line, East Ave and Osborne, year number 4. We're going to remove and reconstruct the northern halves on those structures at the same time. Take advantage of the 2 tracks that are out for the walk bridge. And the final, this is your final alignment for the project. Opens up all the tracks. You see all 4 tracks here. There's a little bit of a split between the center 2 tracks, being an independent span or independent structure for both tracks in north and south. So they kind of split a little bit, gets shifted a little to the south, and basically follows through there. And here you see the final alignment for 4 Point and complete. And further up, East Ave and Osborne in the final year, right here, Osborne, all 4 tracks, and East Ave here. And we have the platforms are complete and the elevators and areas there. So that's it for construction. Here's our Stay Involved page where you can go to the website there, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and any other info you need. So we could take questions. Also, I just want to remind you that we have stations set up throughout, whether in the front a little bit here and also in the back, where there are individual stations for staging, environmental, and traffic, that if you have any specific questions, those would be the booths to go to and ask the questions and get your answers.